Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Game Changer Podcast. I am, of course, your host, NateFNGreat, and this is the Wrestler of the Month, or should I say Wrestlers, because my guests here at this time are the current reigning ACW Tag Team Champions, the Players Club. Well, at least for right now, have one half of them. First of all, Big Cat, Chris Baugher. Chris, thank you so much for your time, and thanks for doing this, man.
Hey, man, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
It's really cool, and obviously the other person would be Jay Cash. Unfortunately, he is not here at the point, but if he does show up, we'll find a way to incorporate him into this. So obviously, when it comes to this, I always ask questions about wrestling and stuff like that, but I do want to say that I've been very surprised at how your career has kind of flourished in ACW. I think I remember the first show I saw you was the first ever Water City Wrestling Con. I think you were doing this pairing with Dream Police.
Yep.
And I think it was either the second showing, because I remember it was you guys then, and then I think there was the whole deal where we had Avalon and Sadist, and then after that, that's when Dream Police, Seth Gambino turned on you guys. And to see you go from that to now being a tag team competitor, you definitely are somebody who a lot of people seem to really enjoy, and obviously so much so that this is the second time that Chris is being interviewed. The first one is by TJ Rapscallion. So I actually do want to ask about that. How has it been, comparing your career from when you first started to where you are right now? How much you kind of evolved since then?
I think since then I've kind of found my place. When I first started, I think I was kind of put in a couple areas where let's see what you can do, And I was kind of a nomad, I guess I kind of felt like. I didn't really know where I was going or where I was heading. But when the idea of being put with J Cash was brought about, I think that really helped me find my spot as far as it goes.
Yeah, no, definitely. You guys have had quite a bit of success. I think that especially you guys shined in 2019. We'll definitely be talking about that in just a bit. But what got you so interested into the realm of professional wrestling? What kind of, sparked this into something that you wanted to watch and then eventually into something that you wanted to do?
Growing up, I watched it as much as I could. We didn't have cable growing up, so it was very sparingly. It's actually kind of a joke in the locker room with some of my buddies, like, they'll talk about, 1999 WWE, which I wasn't watching because I didn't have cable. So it's like, Big Cat doesn't even know who that is, when they're talking about wrestlers. So that's always a weird one back there. But truthfully, I remember reading Mick Foley's book, his very first book, when he released it. I read that in middle school. And just from watching it and then coming to the independence and sitting down and watching it and being a fan, it really got me into, this is awesome. I would have never known that this realm of wrestling even existed if it wasn't for ACW, truthfully.
No, definitely. And something that you kind of hit at when you first wanted to train for wrestling was that it seemed like, you were a big part of the ACW audience. You definitely were one of those guys that a lot of people seemed to recognize. And obviously, when you found out that, Colucci and Swagger, that they run this camp, obviously that must have progressed to, your interest to actually starting to want to be a wrestler.
It did to a certain extent. I was very happy just coming to shows, having some drinks with my best friends, watching my best friends wrestle, and just, cheering and booing and being loud. It never really came up until Swagwell approached us that he was going to open his own academy, and I was like, like I said, Fitzsimmons, and Swagwell were sitting down, we were having dinner, and he came up to us and told us that, and Fitzsimmons was like, where are we going to sign up? And Swagger looked at us like, there's no chance. You guys wouldn't make this you guys wouldn't do this for a single day. And then that really propelled us, I'll say me, I can't speak for Fitzsimmons obviously, but that really propelled me into showing up that first day. I was like, I like this. This is something that I think I could potentially do. Before that, I never looked at wrestling like, anybody can do that. Because not everybody can do that. I'm not only saying that because I'm a wrestler. I say that because it's truthful. You see a lot of people who train who don't take the extra steps, unfortunately, to do that. So it was never like that attitude towards wrestling at all.
Well, obviously, as years go on, you definitely do get a newfound respect for the people that, do put their bodies on the line to do that kind of deal. every single day that I see, you guys going out there and just putting on a killer show, the respect just keeps growing. Whether I'm booing you, whether I'm cheering you, it's just absolutely amazing. I think that, especially here at ACW, you definitely do feel the respect just continuing to grow. And I love coming here. I've mentioned before that a lot of people might ask me, why do you choose ACW, all these other ones? ACW feels like a home. It feels like the kind of family that people would be more than happy to just enjoy, people that would just really want to be a part of. First thing I always come to is just seeing Josh. He comes up, he gives like a handshake, or he gives like a hug, or he gives something like that. It actually is that kind of warmth that brings people in. And the fact that you guys also do it more family friendly, as an article mentioned on there, which was awesome to see that you guys got that kind of publicity.
Yeah.
You definitely are more family oriented, where some people would definitely go, like CZW definitely does like the more hardcore, almost literally just taking years off of people's lives. But for you guys, it's like we can go extreme, but at the same time we take it down a more kid friendly approach.
Right. Yeah, and that really helps. That just gives you a whole new demographic that you can bring in. And there are times where sometimes we slip, and you're out there and you're cussing And I've heard, like, people that work with me, like, hey, when we were at the show, my daughter heard this. And I tell them, like, this is, like, legitimately, like, that's not... Saying that we're family-friendly and kid-friendly isn't just to get you in the door. Like, we really strive for that in ACW. And I think that truthfully helps us as far as our fans become more close, because we all kind of have the same goal, as to project that.
No, definitely. So, you get to do the training with Swoggle, and... It boils down to your first matchup. I think you actually documented it in 2017?
17? 2006. My first match, Bella Bell, was 2017.
2017, yes. Man. You've come so far since then.
Thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about that. What was kind of going through your mind with the first matches? Were you getting like the nervous jitters, or was it always something that you thought you probably could do, or something like that?
No, it was not. It was 100% jitters. I wrestled Willie Wild for my first match, and we trained together. So it was two guys getting thrown in the mix, that started all the way from the beginning until now, and it was super nerve-wracking. My first match was at Oshkosh West, and I graduated from West. So I had my friends there. I'm at the high school I graduated from. It's like it just meant that much more to me.
It does actually kind of add a little more pressure to you, too.
Yeah, and it was for like their booster club too, so it was going towards something as well. So it just made it that much more special to me. I guess that added to my nervousness.
So I will ask this: how did that match go? Your first matchup against?
It went well.
Let me put it like this: if we were to basically do like a compilation of like big cats, biggest moments, would that match make it on the DVD?
No, it was very very basic. Maybe 5 minutes, I think it went. There was one point where Willie Wild had me on the ground, and he was holding my leg down, and he's dropping knees on my ankle, and he dropped a knee on my ankle, and I was like, oh my God, that hurt. And then he dropped another knee on my ankle, and it hurt worse, and he dropped another one, and it hurt. I'm not kidding you. Still to this day, if you look at my left ankle compared to my right ankle, it is still swollen from that day.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I don't let him forget about it.
So anytime we see like a Wild and Randy versus Players Club deal, I'll just be that one screaming, Willie, go for the ankle.
Yeah, that's right.
It'll just be like, how the fuck does he know that? Yeah. It's always funny doing that kind of stuff. I mean, definitely talking about Wild and Randy, they've definitely grown on me as obviously one of my favorite teams, so much so that I made a collage for them. Yep. But you also mentioned that you trained with Randy, but I'm guessing you guys were friends beforehand, because you did mention that the two of you were talking to Swoggle before?
Yeah. Me and Randy Fitzsimmons were friends before we ever started training, or we were working. Yeah.
Okay, were you guys like kind of close friends, or were you just kind of like one of those like deals where like the stars aligned?
Kind of like the stars aligned. They actually Fitzsimmons met Swoggle at a T-Rats game. And him and his wife, they were just fans. They just wanted to take a picture with him. This is how I understand the story. And then it just progressed from that. Okay. And then they started hanging out, and then, we all got mixed into the same group. And we're super close now. I mean, this is good. He's a real good dude. Both of them, him and Willie and Randy are really good dudes.
Oh, definitely. And I think that Randy doesn't get as much, recognition as he deserves, because I definitely do notice a lot of the Merrill shows that we had. Willie's in there, but that's also because he's the hometown boy and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I really did miss, seeing Randy there, and I always made these jokes of like, I'll be Willie's partner, fine.
Yeah.
Like that.
Randy's got a great mind for this business. He's in the perfect. Him and Willie are also in the perfect spot for. Fitzsimmons has mind. His gears are always rolling, and him and I, as far as his ideas go, he's almost batting 1,000 with the stuff he runs by me. Like, hey, what would you think if I did this or this? It's like, he's just got a really, really good mind for this business.
There's also got to be some points where he suggests something, and it's just kind of like, I don't know if that would work. Can you think of like one example of a point where that?
Yeah, he wanted to do a acai moonsault outside, off the ropes, outside onto a group of us, and he did it successfully. But thanks to the guys that were on the outside of the ring, he almost broke his neck.
Oh no! Jeez.
It was great though. I mean, you don't know unless you try.
No, definitely. I will say that when it comes to the training and stuff like that, there obviously you start off thinking like, oh, I could do like a suicide dive, or I could do like a plancha over. For me, I've reached a point where if I do get to the point of doing like actual training and stuff like that, I'm gonna know my limits. Where it's like, okay, maybe one time I will try to do like a suicide dive or something like that.
That's very important to know your limits. Because you're going to if you don't, then you're going to put yourself at risk and everybody else that's in the ring. Yeah,
and we don't need another Enzo Amore where he says like, oh yeah, bro, I can totally take care of that. And he literally just DDTs himself by doing a reverse clothesline or something like that. Yep. We don't need any more of that.
Yep.
So, the name Big Cat.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Was that something that happened before you started wrestling, or was that just something that kind of evolved?
It was actually, when Fitzsimmons and I were talking about training, we were throwing out all these random ideas, and the idea was his nickname is Hick Dog in real life.
Really?
Yes. And he wanted me to be Big Cat. We were supposed to be tag partners for the very beginning. Like, this is just our seed that we were planting in our own heads, that we were hoping to grow. And so it was going to be Big Cat and Hick Dog. And because the Big Cat thing works, because people, when my hair's down, they say it looks like a lion's mane.
Oh.
So that's where the Big Cat thing originated from. And then it just went with the Hick Dog, so it just kind of meshed together, we thought.
Okay. Another signature thing that you usually like to do, other than the name, Big Cat, is usually you come out and you do like this like signature scream.
Yeah, the Bia.
The Bia, yeah. How did that come about?
There's a skit. Dave Chappelle does a skit, and it's do you know who Howard Dean was? He's running for president years ago.
Man, that is probably before my time. But
he did this weird thing at a conference, and he said, "We're going to go to Rhode Island, and we're going to go to Florida," and then he went, "Gah!" And then like he lost. They say that he lost the election because of that. Like he didn't get the presidential bid because of that.
Wow.
Dave Chappelle did a skit about him. He was at a meeting. He's like, "I'm going to go home and I'm going to have sex with my wife." And then like he would just say the most random stuff and start behind. So then I just kind of was like, this. I was dying at home laughing. I was crying. I was laughing so hard. So I was like, this is great. So then we just started behind, like in my real life before I was training. I was behind at home. I was like, now I have to transfer this into the wrestling.
It's something that I think people do try to replicate. I know I've tried a couple times, but it's like, no, can't do it.
It's better to do it wrong than not do it at all.
Fair enough. So, one of the things I definitely did notice with your interview with TJ, and one of the things that I thought was very hilarious, was the Q&As that you usually had at the very end. And one question that obviously stood out was the question of, well, hey, when is Big Cat going to pop the question?
Yep.
And stuff like that.
Yep.
So I do want to ask this: did you meet your girlfriend through wrestling, or did you meet her pre-wrestling days?
No, we actually worked together.
Okay.
When we met, she knew about this. I mean, I was training before we met. But this isn't really her realm. Like, she doesn't watch wrestling. But, I'm like, hey, just, will you come to the show? Like, just, come support me, She's like, oh, yeah, absolutely. It was never a chore or anything to get her here. And to be honest, like, my girlfriend and I have a very, honest relationship. Like, if she didn't like this, she would straight up tell me. Like, that's just how we are. And we both appreciate that out of each other. She thoroughly enjoys coming to these. She told me that. She's like, I really do enjoy coming to these shows. She's like, I never thought I would. She's like, I do. I enjoy coming to the ACW shows.
And it is really important to have that good, support system that somebody who could, because there's always going to be these people that say like, no, you shouldn't do that. You're going to get hurt. There's all these risks and blah blah blah. But to have a good majority of people saying, if this is something that you love, go for it. Has there ever been a time where she maybe considered the idea of saying?
I don't think so. I mean, she's never mentioned it. I think if she would have thought that, I think she definitely would have said, maybe it's time. Because I'm 35 years old. That's 7 years older than wrestlers. You know what I mean? Like, that's old for wrestling. It's especially with all these new guys coming up in the ACW Academy and stuff. But no, she's never verbalized that to me. And like I said, we're very honest with each other. I think if she was worried or wanted me to hang it up, I think she would definitely tell me. That support system, you talk about like this quote unquote success I've had. I mean, that's really, really helped me. My grandma comes to every single one of my shows. My aunt is here. My friend Zetlo, he was stationed across seas in Japan. Yeah, in the Marines. As soon as he came back, I think he's missed one show since he's been back. Like I said, my girlfriend's at every one of my shows. So it's like that's also what helps propel us into being so successful. It really is. I mean, I can't speak enough for the support system I have, let alone the fans that knew me before I was wrestling. That helps. I mean, I was the front row drunk, loud guy. Me and my crew. That's just what we were. And I think we kind of added our own little thing with the fans before I started training, and I think that really helped.
And I will ask this: is it because of that support system that you are always so positive? Because I don't think there's been a time where I've seen you post, anything about like a sad, day or something like that. You're always very positive. You always give out that kind of energy where hey, it's okay, life is good and stuff like that. Is it because of that support system?
It truthfully is. I did go through a little bit of hard time in my life. I had a really bad breakup. And it is what it is now to me. So I went kind of down a darker road. But to me, it's not worth it. It's not worth every day being so down on everything. Just this last week, I've had to fix my car 3 times. I've had to take it in. I'm a little stressed, but what am I going to do? Nothing's going to change the situation. I just got to get my car fixed and move on with life. There's nothing better in life than to be positive and continue trying to project positivity.
So you definitely do believe in the power of positivity.
I do, absolutely. Yes. I used to have that shirt. I ripped it actually on accident, and you can't find it anywhere. So otherwise, I would wear that shirt. I 100% believe in that. Yes. So
we do mention your success, and we do mention that you did get to do like a stint with Dream Police, but obviously, basically like the crown jewel of your career right now is the pairing up with Jay Cash. How did that kind of come about? How did that kind of start? Was it just kind of something where it's like, we're just going to pair you two together and see what happens? Or?
Yeah, I think, truthfully, what happened, in my opinion, was they saw that I needed somebody to guide me to be successful. Truthfully, being a new guy, it helps to have that veteran next to you. That's not a dig on somebody as a wrestler. That's not saying, you suck. We're going to have this guy carry you. What happened was, it was just Dylan came up to you one day and said, hey, we're going to team with Jay Cash. And I'm like, well, I've heard the name. I've never met him. So I went home that night or the night after, I don't remember. And I YouTubed him. I YouTubed Jay Cash Wrestling. And I saw him come out with a do-rag on. I remember that. And my first thought was like, this is going to be great. This is somebody who's going to have fun. This is somebody who's knowledgeable and has been doing this for a long time. I was extremely excited.
And it definitely does show, like, the chemistry that you guys definitely have. And you mentioned the interview you had with TJ that there were still some moments where you were still kind of, nervous about, doing, like, promos and stuff like that. But it definitely does seem like, watching that first promo from then to what you are now, it definitely does seem like, that veteran instincts definitely has rubbed off onto you to where you have that confidence. You have that ability to be able to say, hey, I have my own personality. Look at me, guys.
Yeah, and that's a very good. The wrestling relationship that Jay Cash and I have is very similar to, hey, if I go out and mess something up, we go back to the back. He'd be like, hey, don't do that again. That sucked, and it's okay. You know what I mean? Like, you got to have kind of a tough skin around, thick skin around here to be, if you want to get somewhere. You can't take everything so offensively. When you see Jay Cash and I out on the ring, you talk about our chemistry. That's like not a gimmick. We're having a good time. We thoroughly enjoy each other's company. And that's just what makes us work, I think. That definitely helps. It's big time.
No, definitely. I definitely do see that. And I think it is really cool to see a team go out there and actually have fun, not only with the crowd, but just have fun in the ring. Because there's a lot of people that you mentioned before, they're just doing this because they're either getting a paycheck or they're just doing it because, oh, well, this is easy stuff or blah, blah, blah. But it's really cool to see that, there's people out there that actually really do enjoy, professional wrestling and that they enjoy doing that and delivering the matches that you have. I will also say that one thing that does catch my eye when it comes to you guys is a lot of the interviews as well as the sketches that you guys perform outside on your Facebook deal, like the confusion of Dustin Reynolds with Nick.
Yeah.
The classic, it's like left, right.
Yeah. Yeah, that one I thoroughly enjoyed that one. Which one should we wear? The left ones or the right ones? Yeah, I like that. That was funny.
Do you guys usually have like a go-to comedy team or trope that you usually like to kind of reference back to kind of get your comedic inspiration, or is it kind of just something that comes naturally?
It's just something that comes naturally between us. I mean, we'll do some research as far as like when we do the Words with Cash, we'll do some research and, have everything planned out, but there's no really go-to like, hey, let's mimic these guys or this guy or nothing like that. It's just a natural chemistry between us, I guess.
Well, I will ask this. Can we expect more comedic antics come 2020 when it comes to you guys' promos?
Absolutely. There might be a live Words with Jay Cash.
Really?
Yeah, there might be.
Might be. Keyword.
Yes.
So, obviously, this tag team, pairing between the two of you pays off immensely at Water City Wrestling Con last year, where you guys won the tag team titles from Tag Team Move as well as from Famous Trash. How great of a moment was that to just go through all of that, training and everything that you guys went through and to finally reach that pinnacle of being the tag team champions? Because I do see, I'm going to reference TJ's a lot because he's got so many different videos. But one of the things I definitely do notice was, they had the camera deal going back, and you're just getting all this praise and all this appreciation from all the guys in the back. And I think even TJ mentioned this deal where he kind of gave you like a bit of a bro hug and just said, "You've made it, man."
Yeah, it was. It's amazing. It's truthfully an unbelievable feeling. Like I legitimately right now have goosebumps just talking to you about it. Never in my life would I think I would be in front of, like I said, 2,500, 3,000 people entertaining him. Never. And then sharing the ring with somebody like Jay Cash and, being a tag team champion in that spot is not something I will ever in my life take for granted. It was funny because I ran into a fan at the Rocket Rumble. I was on crutches at the time, so I wasn't on the show. And he's like, "Hey, man, sucks you guys lost, the titles last," because we lost at Famous Trash right after that. He's like, "Yeah, that sucks, huh?" I'm like, looked at him, I said, we won the titles in front of almost 3,000 people. I said, I can't complain. And he stopped right in his tracks and he looked at me and goes, "I don't know a lot of people that would have that same mindset." I said, "I don't take any of this for granted. I don't. I appreciate everything every spot that I've been put in and any amount of success and support I've gotten. Truthfully, it's unbelievable to me. It really is."
No, definitely. And it is really cool that you still keep that positive mindset. It is one of the most important things to have, especially in the world today. It just, so many news deals have like the negatives. They'll keep throwing that there. But to see, people like you definitely continuing to say, hey, there's more positives than negatives in life. That's really cool to say that. So definitely want to say thank you for keeping that positivity going.
I will continue to try.
So obviously, you mentioned the tag team that was getting dropped, but also during that time, it was probably one of the worst times to have this happen. But you also had your injury. What happened that caused this injury?
I actually tore my calf. It was a second-degree tear, and it was actually an actual injury. Took me out for 6 weeks, and I was on crutches for 5 of those weeks, and it was hard, man. Sitting at home for 2 weeks, not leaving. I didn't leave the house for like 4 days because I couldn't drive anywhere. I live with my girlfriend. She works, so she can't be waiting on me all the time. I could call somebody. I could call my grandma or my friends to get somewhere, but you don't want to inconvenience everybody that you know. So it was a rough time, but like I said, you gotta stay positive.
Well, what actually, what happened that caused the tear? Was there like a move that did you like land on your leg run or what?
No, I was actually playing. I play softball in the summer, and I play the outfield. And I was I was on third base, to be honest with you. And there was a fly ball out to the field, and I was tagging up to score. And as soon as I left third base, I thought it was like a series. I thought somebody took a baseball, because we clown around a lot on our team. I thought somebody took one of the softballs and threw it at the back of my leg. Like, that's how much pain I was in. And I even looked at the guy behind me and I said, "Why would you do that?" He goes, "What are you talking about?" Because I'm running home as I'm like dragging my leg home. And then I'm like, "Oh, well, nobody did anything?" They're like, "No." I said, "Oh, there's something wrong here." So I thought it was just like a severe cramp, because it felt like something was just balled up in the back of my leg. So I went home and had my girlfriend take this wooden dowel and like roll my leg out. It was excruciating pain. I was like, I gotta go in. I have to go in tomorrow. And I don't go to the doctor for much of anything. And then I went in and they're like, "Yeah, it's a second degree." I think they said second degree calf tear.
I mean, that's really crazy to see. It's just amazing how some injuries can just happen like that, where, you can literally be walking and you might, sprain an ankle or something like that. For you to, basically just go right after a ball and just get that tear just out of nowhere. Did they ever explain, like, what might have caused it, whether it was like a dehydration deal, or was it just kind of like a freak? Yeah,
I asked, because I even told him, I said, I've gone to the gym that morning, and then this is the 5th inning, so we've played 3/4 of a, 2/3 of a game already. Right. I said, what could have caused this? And that's exactly this. It's just a freak accident. They said, going forward, I should have no issues. And it doesn't feel like anything ever happened.
Yeah, no.
Like, my leg is 100% right now. If you ask me, I never tore it. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, so, no, you're crossing your leg right in front of me, and I never would have guessed that it was like, a torn calf muscle or anything like that. But obviously, to every dark cloud, there is a silver lining.
Absolutely.
And that was when you guys made the announcement that when you guys were at the Tanner show, that you'll be getting your tag team title rematch against Famous Trash for the tag team titles. Again, you gotta probably have jitters going in, because it's your first matchup in like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Just going into this high profile matchup, they really made it seem like Famous Trash, quote unquote, took you out. They made it seem like, oh, we're the innocent ones and blah blah blah, stuff like that. So obviously, fast forwarding 6th anniversary show, and I was very fortunate to be able to call that matchup between you guys and Famous Trash. And one of the things that I said that I will still stay true to is the fact that you never would have guessed that he was injured, because it did not seem like you missed a step whatsoever.
Yeah, and I feel great. And truthfully, after that, it kind of lit a fire under my ass too. Like, sitting home for that many weeks, not being able to do anything, like, you kind of take it for granted sometimes, that you can do stuff just whenever the hell you want to. And then I couldn't. So I was like, that last part of last year was really put a fire under my ass to get back in the gym, work harder, get healthy, and let's get back to it.
Yep, and like you said, ultimate payoff. You guys win the tag team titles back from Famous Trash. Mm-hmm. Another great moment, and happened right here in the Oshkosh Masonic Center. I always love coming to these shows, because there's always just huge historical moments that happen here. Whether it's the Sadist retirement matchup, or even the Sadist retirement speech, which still gives me it gives me all the feels, gives me all the goosebumps.
Yeah.
The Rumble took place here this past year, and just being a part of the 6th anniversary show, seeing everything that took place. Seth Gambino win the Water City title, you guys win the tag team titles. That classic deal between Rhino and Logan Lynch. So obviously starting from day one, obviously to here, did you ever think that you would make it to this point of just the amount of success that you had, and the amount of success that you continue to probably have coming into 2020?
No. I didn't think I would even sniff anything close to what's going on in my wrestling life right now. I think that's even a bigger reason why I'm so grateful for it. Most people doubted me. I doubted myself. I came in as, quote unquote, Swaggl's guy, because we grew up together. I was Colucci's guy. We all grew up in the same neighborhood, and you come in like that, and you're the drunken guy in the first row, and then all of a sudden people see you in the ring, and they're like, okay, this guy's getting a job because he knows, so I had that much more to prove to everybody. So I never thought I'd have this much success in this business, and I am very grateful that I do, and I will never take it for granted.
And that's really awesome to hear. So I definitely do want to ask this. There's obviously, the stages of Big Cat here. So I want to start with, you as the fan, do you have a moment that kind of stands out to you, or a favorite moment that just kind of stood out as you were just a fan, just enjoying wrestling?
I actually have two.
Okay.
My first favorite moment was, and this is like the first recollection I have from being at a show, was at the Eagles Club. There was a balcony there, and me and my friends were up there, and we were screaming, and, being loud, and Sadis comes out, and Sadis is jacked. Like, Sadis is a big dude,
Oh, yeah.
And he comes out, he's looking up at us, and we're cussing him out. And he's flipped. I remember he flipped us off up there, and we're going back and forth, just having a good time. No real hate behind it. Match is over, and intermission comes, and I look at my friends like, hey, I'm gonna go get another drink, and I turn around and I start walking, and some guy like kind of shoulder checks me, and I'm like, what? And I turn around, and it's Sadis, and I don't know him from from any other interaction that I just had from him. I didn't meet him before that, nothing. And I was like, oh my God, I was like, this guy's even bigger when he's standing next to me. And he had a big smile on his face, so I knew it was a welcoming, like kind of a shoulder nudge. He's like, hey man, thanks for coming. It was really good. It was a really good exchange, and that's, besides what Sadis did for us, I mean, he's just an awesome person, and that really, that's how I knew that, the smile on his face, I knew that it wasn't what I saw in the ring, him flipping us off. He's actually a good dude. The second memory is, Gambino and Gotti. I've known Don Gotti, Jesus. I've known Don Gotti for 20 plus years. When he jumped off the ladder onto Chase McCoy, and Chase McCoy was on the table, it was literally from me to you away. I still have it on my phone. This is years before I started training. That's a huge memory for me. It was insane, and like I said, I won't forget either of those two things.
It always is crazy to see those kind of moments, because I actually had one that was kind of similar to that. When me and a couple of friends went to Bound for Glory, we actually were watching the ladder match for the X Division title, and I think it was AC Romero, if I'm not mistaken. So obviously, big dude, definitely.
Yeah, he's great.
One of the biggest guys, and he's climbing up the ladder, and here comes Tessa Blanchard. They're doing this deal where it's like, how is she going to push the ladder? How is this even going to happen? And she's doing it, and literally I'm just like, oh no, this is not going to end well. And all I see is what looks like his head was going first from the ladder to the outside. From we were angled, but thankfully I looked at a video and I was like, okay, he landed on his shoulder, he went through a table, it's all good. But also Tessa pushed the ladder. I think the momentum from him falling off the ladder actually carried over with the ladder, because the ladder just went out of the ring and then just started to rotate going into the audience, and everybody's just freaking out like, oh my God, no. Impact guys are coming over like, oh, are you okay? Are you okay? It's like, I don't see anybody crying or being like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So
that's what this is about, making memories like that for somebody. That's what we're here for, and that's awesome to hear. It's not an ACW show or an indie show here, but that's awesome to hear that story, just because that's a memory that you have. That's great. Yeah, when it comes to ACW, there are definitely a lot more memories, because you guys put on such fantastic shows. You guys are just tremendous talent. I talk about it on my other podcasts on the Wrestling Radio deal all the time, to the point where one of my podcast mates, he was talking on his show, he was just talking about their like Diamonds of the Decade awards, and they were talking about promotion of the year. They had talked about WWE, NXT, and blah, blah, all that kind of stuff. And one of my friends was like, if Nathan puts down that Wisconsin show, because I talk about it that much, but it's like, it's awesome. It's one of those things where it reminds us that, hey, independent wrestling is still alive. It's still something that's great, even though we have all these other companies that are like, hey, let's snag this and just have these stars build up to that. I feel like with ACW, it's indeed a brand of its own. Yeah. Because
you guys delivered great content. You gave us great characters to get behind or to just boo. I think when it comes to like wrestling and stuff like this, one of the best memories that I still have, and still to this day, is like one of the things I will always love, was the GLCW/ACW crossover show that happened in Merrill. And this is one of the things that kind of explains, why Salem and I have like this weird kind of heat with each other. He finishes his match. I think he was wrestling Randy Fitzsimmons, if I'm not mistaken. He lost, so he's basically yelling at me. He basically says, grab my jacket. So I get his jacket, and basically he's just whispering to me, drop it. He puts his hand out, I drop it, and then I just decide, I'm going to have a little more fun with this. And I just do like the whole step on it deal. And then I just pat him on the head while he's just looking down like, what just happened? So that moment is just one of those things that I absolutely loved. And another one that was great was during the night that Gambino turned heel, there was that match between Anderson and Sadist.
Yeah.
Hey, look at that. We talk about Sadist again.
Yeah.
Where I don't know if I like smarked off or something like that, or I was just blasting my mouth off or something. I don't know if this was a point where people were probably just like, oh, this dude's annoying. Anderson calls me out. He's just like, I don't care what you have, Jericho, because I was dressed up like Chris Jericho for that show. And he's just kind of berating me, and then Sadist grabs the mic. He's like, dude, that's not Jericho. That's Nate. It's like, Anderson just goes, Nate? That's like the worst name to have in the English language. That or Keith. So you guys make a lot of really fantastic moments. So obviously, transitions to you. What are some of your favorite moments in ACW, obviously, as a wrestler?
And I mean, there's so many of them. And I know when I say this, I can hear Adam Grace whisper in my ear, belt mark, because I can hear him say that. But, as we touched upon, WrestlingCon, winning the titles, not only because we won the titles, but like sharing that stage with Jay Cash was super emotional. We both worked really, really hard, to get to that spot, and he's been doing this for so long. It's just natural for him to do it, but he's been an awesome mentor for me. So that is an awesome memory. I mean, I got to share the ring with Hurricane and Tommy Dreamer and Eugene. I mean, it's stuff that just is mind blowing to me. Bret Hart. I got to meet Bret Hart. Never in a million years would I have guessed that I would even get to meet him. It's just, there's so many memories for me that I take out of here, and it's stuff beyond belief. The fact that somebody comes up to me and wants to buy a T-shirt with my name on it, that blows my mind. I saw somebody at my work sent me a picture. It was like parents were at the schools for that day. Mm-hmm. Sent a picture of another kid in her kid's class with my shirt on. And that's just, that to me is just mind-blowing. I'm just a regular dude, you know what I mean? Like, to me, I'm just a regular dude. And so somebody's wearing my shirt to school, that's just, like, that's a memory I'll hold on to forever.
Isn't that just crazy when stuff like that happens to you? I remember sharing a picture on a wrestling group on Facebook, and I think it was either... No, it was. I was wearing a Raging Nathan Gus shirt, and some dude was just like, oh, man, that's right. You know Raging Gus? It's like, hell yeah. He's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I had a kid run up to me. I was at Buffalo Wild Wings picking up an order, and a kid ran up to me. And I was by myself. I'm standing there, and he goes, are you Big Cat? I'm like, yeah. He goes, can I get a picture with you? And, like, to me, that's just, it's a great feeling that he's invested time into this and recognizes me. I just never would have thought in a million years. Never.
Well, I think that, when you're just picking up an order, that's something that's different than, like, if you were actually eating or having a little, one-on-one time with, your girlfriend or something like that. Because I know that with, like, paparazzi and stuff like that, they take those photos and videos of people that are just eating, and all they want is just a little bit of privacy. But
yeah.
I mean, obviously, it is one of those things where that kid was definitely smart enough to realize, oh, he's not doing anything right now. I'm going to go say hi to him.
Yeah. And truthfully, if he would have came up to me while I'm eating, like, I guess I'm just a regular dude. I wouldn't have mind. I don't mind that.
You would have taken the picture if he would have had, like, Buffalo Wild
Wings
sauce on you. just whatever. I'm a human being. It's whatever.
Yep, pretty much.
It was also crazy was that when I was at All Out, one person actually just came up to me and they just said, game changer. I'm like, yeah?
That's cool. That's cool.
It's always really cool to have that, because you never really realize how, quote-unquote, famous you are until somebody actually just says, like, oh, you're this person, or, hey, it's Big Cat. I remember you were this guy in the crowd and stuff like that. It's just mind-boggling to see that. So for everybody that does show appreciation to the wrestlers as well, thank you so much for definitely getting a chance out there to show your appreciation for them. Definitely respect their privacy, but at the same time, definitely, I know for a fact that you guys really do enjoy, just knowing that you did an absolutely great job. That was actually a crazy thing that happened was, you mentioned Adam Grace. There were a couple of times where he came up to me because we actually sponsored a couple of the matches. I think we actually sponsored both the triple threat matches I had. Pornstash, T-Dub3, and Adam Grace. I just remember a couple of them came up to me and they were just saying like, "Oh, dude, how do we do?" It's like, you guys did great.
Yeah.
You guys had nothing to worry about, and it's one of those things where you just even have you put those guys.
Yeah, those are 3 heavy hitters, man. Those are good wrestlers.
You put them in any conversation, and it's like you're already going to get great stuff. And the same thing can be said about you and Jake Cash. It's like Jake Cash and Big Cat. I don't care who they're facing. They could be facing up against a couple of sex dolls, and they're probably going to make the most of it. Where I could honestly see you guys just doing that and just saying like, wow, he picks a hefty wall, more heavier than Jory Lee, that's for sure. No disrespect to Jory Lee. He's awesome.
Great.
What do you see yourself in the next maybe 5-10 years? What are some of your goals that you would like to accomplish, whether it's with ACW or just in your life right now?
Well, I set goals for 2020. As a quote-unquote resolution, I guess, for a better word. It's not really that, but, my goal is to work for more promotions. I would like to get better in the ring. I would like to work hard enough to where I feel comfortable. This is going to sound a little weird maybe to some people, but be comfortable enough to wrestle without a shirt on. I mean, I've struggled with weight problems my entire life, pretty much. And again, I was never like down in the dumps about it. I was comfortable with it. But
I was going to ask about that because KJ actually did do a bit of a comment about that. I got to know, what's your secret when it comes to weight loss? Is it just working out more? Is it just eating healthy, or how is it?
It's like as cliche as it is. It's just eating right and going to the gym. It's instead of if I want pizza, I don't eat a medium pizza. I eat one slice of pizza. That's before it was like I could sit down and eat a large pizza to my face and not think twice about it. Mm-hmm. It's like to me, it's just I'm on I put myself on a 1,500 calorie diet. It fluctuates. Sometimes it hits 1,800. Depends what kind of mood I'm in. But I struggle with portion sizes. I didn't really have a limit. So it's just eating right and just exercising. Truthfully, as cliche as that sounds, everybody says it. It's not easy, but it's doable.
No, it isn't. That's one of the reasons why anybody who's a vegan, I'm very surprised in how they can live life without.
No, a steak or a burger.
I think I even made a joke about some people the other day. I forgot what the conversation was about, but basically where I made a joke is like, how can you possibly live on life without knowing the pleasures of chocolate?
Right. Well, I'm not a chocolate guy myself.
Oh, really?
Surprisingly, yeah, I don't. I like chocolate milk, and that's about it. I'm more of like a Skittles or Starburst guy.
Oh, okay.
Those are like gummy worms. Oh man, I love me a good gummy worm.
So you definitely are one of those people that goes to Quick Trip, and if you see something, it's just like.
Yep. The two for $1, 2 for $2, whatever it is. Yeah, I've been known to do that.
We blame Nathan Gus for that because he is the Quick Trip boy.
He's the Quick Trip promoter of all promoters.
I literally said to him during the last Tanner show that you guys did was I was the one guy in the crowd. You probably guessed that. I was doing this chant of "Tastes like chicken." He's just pointing at me, just doing.
I was watching that match from the back out of the curtain, and I was right across from you, actually, where you were sitting, and I saw you chant that, and I started losing it. I actually meant to say that to you. Actually, I was laughing so hard in the back with the "Taste like chicken" and the Gusty because he bit his finger, wasn't it? Was it the finger or was it something? Whatever it was.
It was some part of the body.
Yeah, it was. Oh my God, I was laughing so hard in the back. I meant to tell you that. I'm glad you brought that up.
Well, it's crazy because I'm the only one that's doing this shit. Everybody's just doing like the clap long deal and just letting me do the business. Yep. So there's probably a good chance that tonight I will probably try to bring that back. I mean, Nathan Gus versus Salem Crane. It's literally one of those things where it's like craziness is going to happen. You know, they're dubbing it as like last time ever, but. I'm actually kind of interested in that matchup because the fact is that anybody who says, last time ever, usually it's not the last time ever. Yep. I mean, that's what we thought about Triple H and Undertaker at WrestleMania 28. And literally they came back a couple years later, and it's one of those moments where it's like, you guys should just stay at 28 because those last two were just bad. Right. But obviously, one thing I didn't get a chance to ask about, obviously growing up, watching wrestling, who were some of the people that you kind of looked up to or you kind of admired for whether it's their in-ring work, their mic skills, anything like that? And is there something that you kind of model yourself after as far as wrestling goes?
My favorite wrestler ever is Razor Ramon. which is actually...
Oh boy, WrestlingCon's going to be a good day for
I'm
you.
so excited. I'm so excited for WrestlingCon and Scott Hall to be here. Nobody has any idea. He just had that thing about him. Like when he's on TV, it just captivated you. That's how I felt about it. He's my favorite of all time, but like I said, Mick Foley. I read Mankind's book growing up, so he was a big influence. And I mean, obviously, The Rock was. I mean, that guy. The mic's on fire every time he's touching it. So there's stuff like that like captivated me. With those guys, and it was great. I wish I could have grown up watching it more. I touched on the Undertaker's entrance at, I always forget what WrestleMania was it 14, 24? I don't remember. Yeah, they're going to rib me for this too if they listen to it. When he comes out with the Druids, and they got the torches, and they're holding the torches out.
I was going to say, there's a few WrestleManias, so in all fairness, there's a lot where they did, but I do think I remember the first main one.
Yeah.
It was probably 14.
Yeah, I think it was 14.
Because it was weird. With that matchup, I remember them
Him and Kane.
Yep, that was 14. Well, that also could be 20 as well, but either way.
No, it was late. It was an early one.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I just remember the version that I watched, all the Druids are coming out, and the music that's just playing is that dun dun dun.
Yeah. That was like shivers down my spine. I remember watching that.
You just hear that, and then you just see the Undertaker come out, and it's just like, oh boy, did they just get cold in here? Or is it just?
That is an imposing man.
Oh man, I would literally probably pass out just meeting that guy. I'm lucky that I got the chance to meet Sting at Starcast. There we go.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. I hate the fact that was kind of like his quote unquote last day of using the classic iconic face paint. But still, it was absolutely great. I'm going to tell you this: you're definitely going to enjoy meeting up with Scott Hall. He's a really cool dude.
Can't wait.
My first meeting with him was at a Super Friends meet and greet, where I got a chance to meet a lot of interesting people like ODB, Melina, Zelina Vega, but before she was known as Thea Trinidad. Mm-hmm. Getting a chance to talk to so many of those people, and then just getting the chance to talk. It was Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and X-Pac.
Oh, yeah.
Just waiting for my chance to get in line. And I go up to them, and here's Kevin Nash, here's Scott Hall. They're just like, oh, hey, how's it going, man? And I'm kind of just like starstruck to the point where it feels like my tongue was just literally like, produce something.
Yeah, am I really standing here in front of these three people?
Right.
That's exactly, yeah.
So be prepared to be probably awestruck when you meet Scott Hall. Because Kevin Nash and X-Pac, although to be fair, it was 3-on-1. So 1-on-1, you might have a better chance. But, gosh, I mean, Water City Wrestling Con is just absolutely crazy. I was just talking to one of the refs, Eric, about just the lineup. Melina, ICP being a part of that, Ron Simmons. Oh man, I watched a lot of damn compilations from Ron Simmons. It's like if he just comes out and just does one damn during the entire show, then it's just like, I'm just going to give you like my life savings, ECW. Just no reason whatsoever, just for that. But I'm really curious to see how everything goes down. Oh, geez, even Colt Cabana, they announced him coming in.
Yep.
Absolutely awesome.
Absolutely.
Oh, man. So I think we'll end it on this with the final question of, when you look back on your career and you're kind of riding off into the sunset, as cliche as it is, I keep bringing that up, but whatever. When you want people to look back on your career, what is the one thing that you would want them to, take away from your career as well as from everything that you've done in life?
The one thing I'd want to be taken away is just like, we touched upon how positive I try to be. I try to be a positive influence in the locker room. I don't politic myself into certain spots. I try to work my ass off to earn spots. And I just want people to remember that. Like, when I'm done with this, if somebody asks another person, hey, remember that Big Cat guy? And the other guy goes, oh yeah, man, he was an enjoyable person to be around. He's always clowning around, having a good time. Never took anything too seriously, but when you hired him to work for you, he's giving you 100% in the ring. And that's something I want to be known for, because that's my work ethic. I think is something that's very important to me, and I would like for people to remember how positive that was.
Big Cat, the man of power, the power of positivity. It's obviously one of those things that I definitely appreciate, respect about that. So thank you, Chris, for being a part of this.
Appreciate it very much.
For taking the time out. Now, obviously, you do have a little bit of a social media deal. Where can people find you to kind of either interact with you or spew their quote-unquote hatred, whatever?
I'm at Baugs112 on Twitter, BAUGS112, BAUGS112 on Instagram, and Big Cat Chris Baugher on Facebook. That's it. That's all I got for the social medias.
Well, there we go. We got the cheap plug-in. So this is one half of the ACW Tag Team Champions, Chris Baugher. Big Cat, the man who is bringing back positivity. Did not get a chance to talk to Jay Cash this time around, but hopefully...
Son of a gun.
He found a way to just weasel his way out of it. But you can definitely be rest assured that come 2020, we are going to have that interview with him. Yeah, it's going to be great, though.
Yeah, he's got a lot to tell you, too. Yeah. On his end.
I'm looking forward to that. I mean, if anything, Colucci was kind of the one that set the bar, and I feel like the bar just keeps getting raised every single time. But thank you, Chris, for your time. I've been NateFNGreat. This has been the Game Changer Podcast. Thank you so much for listening in, and be sure to tune in next month when we have Raging Dead, Nathan Gust on the show. It's going to be a wild one, to say the least. Thank you guys so much. See ya.